"Your kids don't deserve this holiday." Those were the first words my mum said when she called me. 5 minutes later, I cancelled the entire family vacation. By the end of the day, my sister called me selfish. My dad accused me of tearing the family apart. And somehow I was the only person being blamed. The funny thing was, not one of them asked why my children had reached their limit. Looking back, the holiday wasn't what ended that week. It was a family tradition that should have ended years earlier. Every September, my family booked the same beach holiday on the Gold Coast. 4 bedrooms, 1 apartment, 9 people squeezed together for a week, and every single year, the same thing happened. My children gave up their space so everyone else could stay happy. I was always the one who organised everything. I booked the apartment, paid the deposit, collected everyone's money, or at least I tried to, because my younger sister, Beck, almost always had an excuse. "I'll send it next week. I forgot. I'm a bit short this month." Eventually, I stopped asking. Keeping the peace seemed easier than another argument. At least, that's what I told myself. My daughter Ava was 13. My son, Josh, was 11. They were good kids, not perfect, just thoughtful. They cleaned up after themselves, said thank you, and rarely complained. Beck's 3 children were different, loud, wild, always pushing boundaries. Whenever they broke something, my mum laughed. They're only kids. Whenever my kids finally complained, they're old enough to know better. I never noticed how unfair that sounded until one dinner changed everything. 3 nights before the trip, we were eating at my parents' house while Mum sorted out the bedrooms. "Beck's family gets the big room," she said. "You and your 2 can share with the cousins." Ava immediately looked at me, then she quietly said, "We'd rather have our own room." The table went silent. Beck laughed. "Oh, don't be dramatic." But Ava didn't back down. "We don't like sharing anymore." Mum frowned. "And why is that?" Josh answered before anyone else could. "Because they go through our stuff." Nobody spoke. He took a breath. "Last year, Cooper emptied my backpack all over the floor," Ava added quietly, "and Mia used my makeup after I told her not to." Beck rolled her eyes. So, Ava replied, "We just want our own space." It wasn't rude. It wasn't demanding. She asked as politely as she possibly could. My mum pushed her plate away. "That's incredibly selfish." I stared at her. "Selfish?" "Their family," Mum replied. "They should learn to share." Josh looked down at his dinner. So did Ava. Neither of them argued again. The conversation moved on. But the drive home was completely different. About 10 minutes into the trip, Josh spoke from the back seat. "Mum," his voice was barely above a whisper. "Are we still going to have to share?" I looked at him in the mirror. He wasn't angry. He genuinely believed I might say yes. That hurt more than anything my mother had said. The next morning, Ava found me making coffee. She hesitated before speaking. "I don't even care where we stay." I looked up. "I just want one holiday where I don't have to hide my things." That sentence stayed with me all day because children don't hide their belongings unless they've already learned nobody will protect them. 3 days later, I was loading groceries into my car when Mum called. The moment I answered, she started, "I've been talking to your sister." I didn't say anything. "Your children owe everyone an apology." I leaned against the car. "For what?" "For embarrassing the family." I actually laughed. "My kids asked for their own room. They made your sister's children feel unwelcome." "No," I replied. "They told the truth." Mum's voice hardened. "Well, they don't deserve this holiday if that's how they're going to behave." Everything went quiet. Cars drove past, shopping, trolleys rattled across the car park, but all I could hear was that sentence, "Your kids don't deserve this holiday." I opened the booking app on my phone, found our reservation, pressed, "Asked us cancel your booking." A confirmation email arrived almost instantly. The apartment was gone, the family holidays was over, and I had a feeling the real fight was only just beginning. 10 minutes after I cancelled the booking, my phone lit up. The first message came from Beck. "Mum says you're overreacting. Just book it again." I didn't reply, then Mum texted, "You've upset everyone." Dad followed a few minutes later. "This isn't worth tearing the family apart." Not one message asked how Ava or Josh were feeling. Not one. To them, the problem wasn't what my children had been living with for years. The problem was that I'd finally done something about it. That night, I sat at the kitchen table after the kids had gone to bed. I opened my banking app, then our family group chat, then old messages. Within 20 minutes, I saw something I'd ignored for years. This had never been about one holiday. Every trip looked the same. I'd covered expenses because someone forgot to pay. My kids had been asked to give up their beds because they were more understanding. Whenever something of theirs was damaged, the conversation ended with the same sentence. Let's not make a big deal out of it. I wasn't looking at separate incidents anymore. I was looking at a pattern. For years, my children had been paying the price for everyone else's comfort. The next morning, I sent one message to the family group chat. I didn't cancel the holiday because my children wanted their own room. I cancelled it because they're no longer expected to sacrifice their comfort just to keep everyone else happy. Then I put my phone down. Within seconds, it exploded. Calls, texts, voicemails. I ignored every one of them. An hour later, a message appeared from someone I hadn't expected. My cousin, Talia. I'm proud of you. I frowned. She sent another message. We've all seen it. Nobody ever wanted to challenge Mum. I read it twice. For the first time, I realised I wasn't imagining the favouritism everyone knew. Most people just found it easier to stay quiet. 2 days later, Mum insisted we all meet at her house. I almost refused. Then I remembered Josh asking if I'd make them share again. He deserved more than promises. He deserved proof. When I walked into the house, nobody smiled. Beck folded her arms. Dad stared at the floor. Mum looked exhausted. She spoke first. You've embarrassed this family. I shook my head. No, I stopped pretending everything was fine. Beck scoffed. You're acting like our kids are monsters. I never said that. They're children, so are mine. The room went quiet. I looked at Mum. You keep saying families compromise. Yes, so tell me something. I waited. When was the last time Beck's kids had to give up the best room? Silence. When was the last holiday they worried about someone going through their bags? No answer. When was the last time they were called selfish for asking for privacy? Mum looked away. Beck didn't say a word because there wasn't an answer. Dad finally broke the silence. So, what are you going to do now? I smiled for the first time all week. We're still going on holiday. 3 confused faces looked back at me. I booked somewhere else. Beck blinked. You already replaced the trip? I replaced the situation. It isn't a huge apartment. It isn't expensive. It's just somewhere my children can feel comfortable. Nobody argued. The conversation was over. I picked up my bag and walked out. For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. I felt relieved. A week later, we arrived at a small apartment overlooking the beach. Nothing fancy, just 2 bedrooms, a balcony, and complete peace. The first thing Ava did was unpack her suitcase. She left her makeup on the dresser. She didn't hide it. She didn't lock it away. She simply expected it to still be there when she came back. Josh flopped onto his bed with a grin. After a few seconds, he looked around and quietly said, "It's really quiet." I smiled. "It is." He nodded. "I like quiet." That sentence broke my heart because no child should be surprised by feeling safe. On our last evening, Ava and I watched the sunset from the balcony. Without looking at me, she asked, "Were you ever going to make us apologise?" "No, really. Never." She smiled. I didn't think adults were allowed to say no to Grandma. I laughed softly. Neither did I. For years, I'd mistaken keeping the peace for keeping the family together. They're not the same thing. Peace built on one person's sacrifice isn't peace at all. It's silence. When we came home, life slowly settled down. My parents still call. We still see the family on birthdays and at Christmas. But some things have changed forever. My children have boundaries now, real ones, and I protect them without apologising. Looking back, I didn't cancel a holiday. I ended a tradition that taught my children their feelings mattered less than everyone else's comfort. If that decision disappointed a few adults, so be it, because the only opinion that mattered was the one I heard as we unpacked after our trip. Josh looked at me and smiled. I'm glad we went on our own. So am I, because that was the week my children stopped believing they had to earn respect, and the week I finally stopped asking them to.